Turning a blind eye when it comes to murder. Suppose I get a visit from a longtime friend from overseas, and during his visit he unpacks a hunting rifle with ammunition. Should I get a bit worried when I find him aiming the rifle at my neighbor's house? Let's say the day after, my overseas friend asks me to please give him a hand by holding a pair of binoculars to my eyes and letting him know as soon as my neighbor shows up at the window. Would I be involved in the murder if a fatal shot were fired? This story is not as far-fetched as it seems. In fact, it quite accurately describes the current situation which the German federal government should consider itself involved in concerning the US Airbase Ramstein. The fact that it doesn't should be a cause of concern, because we, the citizens of the German Republic, are unintentionally turned into accomplices through Ramstein. The facts. The US runs more than 700 military bases outside its own borders. Ramstein in southwestern Germany is one such base, however a special one. It is the largest airbase outside of the United States, worth around 750 million euros. Without Ramstein, the massive drone war led by the United States would not be possible. Ramstein can be thought of as the target scope for the US military drones when it comes to Eurasia, the Far East, and the African continent. A target scope only fulfills its purpose when it is on a barrel of a rifle loaded with the right ammunition. In addition, someone must be willing to pull the trigger once a target has been aligned in the crosshairs. However, without a target scope, neither the ammunition, nor the weapon, nor the gunman have any real value, at least when the target is miles away. In the case of drones, the distance from the airborne aircraft to the victim on the ground is often several kilometers. The United States is only able to perform the many thousand killings of terrorists by means of unmanned flying objects or drones in places like Yemen, Afghanistan, Somalia, Iraq, or Pakistan, thanks to the reunified Federal Republic of Germany, which in Ramstein provides the necessary target scope, so to speak. The targeted person is often first located via Ramstein by mobile phone. The technology is called Gilgamesh. The drone pretends to be a cell phone tower over the combat zone. When the target person's mobile phone connects to this pretend cell tower during its overhead flight, the transmitted data broadcasts the person's death sentence. But what if the US uses the Ramstein airbase in Germany to kill people who are anything but terrorists or enemy soldiers, let's say, based only on suspicion? Does the Federal Republic of Germany make itself complicit in war crimes and violations of international law by consciously turning a blind eye, or worse, denying having even a suspicion of the pivotal role Ramstein plays? The answer is simple and indisputable: yes. If you believe the former US drone pilot Brandon Bryant, everything having to do with drones runs through Ramstein. Our government either entrenches itself behind legal subtleties concerning the United States, or it sees no reason to scrutinize our overseas partner, even though it knows very well that it has been repeatedly lied to, for instance in the case of the NSA wiretap scandal. It could be boiled down to a single long sentence. Even though the German federal government knows full well that the US government shows no consideration for human rights when its imperialistic goals are at stake, it nonetheless sees no need, when it comes to Ramstein, to distance itself from the US administration, which in its war against terror does not shy away from killing civilians in large numbers, including many children, without a court ruling and thus arbitrarily from the air. The federal government is therefore partnering with a nation that commits war crimes and violates international law without batting an eye. Will this murderous partnership ever have legal consequences, at least for German politicians? Let's go a bit more into detail. No drones are launched from Ramstein. Therefore, the US Foreign Secretary John Kerry is not lying when he says that the US doesn't send out unmanned weapons systems from Ramstein to the Middle East. They are merely guided to their destination with the help of Ramstein. They are actually launched from the myriad places the US has a foot in the door. The headquarters in the US is called Creech. Even the men at the trigger aren't sitting in Ramstein. In general, the kills are usually directed from the USA. But Ramstein is part of the killing machine. Could the owner of a car with which a child ended up in a lethal accident convince a judge of his innocence by pointing out he hadn't left the car key in the ignition, and only later admitting he left it on the passenger seat?